Hey guys, and welcome to Best Tech Stuff.
Guys, today I'm here to show you about a cool little thing that you can use to clean old coins. In this case, we're going to be using really old pennies that I've collected over the years. These pennies are gross. They're not clean, and they're not that cool looking because they're really old. So I'm going to show you how to make a quick solution, and we'll just put it in a little container like this, and next thing you know, all your pennies are going to go from that dirty look to a nice clean shiny penny. Whether you have old pennies that are worth a cent, 25 cents, or even $100, they're going to be worth a lot more looks and price if they're shiny and clean. This is how you do it. You take a little bit of baking soda and you put it in your small container. You don't want to use too much because you are going to be putting vinegar, which if you have too much, it'll overflow. So you just want to use about that much. Then you're going to take some sea salt. You're probably going to have about 2 parts sea salt to 1 part baking soda. So in the long run, you'll have about that much of a powder. Just mix that together, and then you're going to start making your solution. Using the vinegar in just a second, we're going to put all the pennies into this small container. Then we're going to take the vinegar solution and just add enough to go over the pennies. Now it's going to start bubbling up, as you can see here. And all your pennies are going to start becoming cleaner naturally. But you're going to need to use a fork and then a toothbrush later on to get them to their cleanest ability. So after you have your solution, take your fork and just start mixing it around. The acidity from the salt, the baking soda, and the vinegar solution is going to basically burn off the nasty, gross buildup on these pennies and make it look like this. So you're going to have to mix this for a while. Just keep spinning it. Don't mix it too fast because it'll get dirty. And then, so go ahead and keep mixing this for a while. Once the bubbles start to come down, you can add a little bit more baking soda. And a little bit more sea salt. And then go ahead and start mixing again. It'll start foaming up again from the acidity in the vinegar. But then you're just going to want to be mixing your solution with the pennies in it for probably about 2 or 3 minutes. Now, after a couple minutes of mixing, you're going to want to make sure all the pennies are in the solution, and then you're going to want to have them sit there for probably about 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, we'll be back. Okay, so here's a close-up after just a couple minutes with our vinegar solution cleaning these pennies. As you can see, on the actual pennies, there's a little, I guess what you could say, buildup on the pennies. That's actually the salt and the baking soda working together to eat away at the gross residue on these pennies. So you want to give it a couple more minutes to let that build up until basically it stops bubbling. That can take 5 to 10 minutes depending on how gross your pennies are, how much solution you have, and how many pennies you have. Alright guys, so the pennies have been sitting in the solution now, and it's starting to look like most of the bubbles are going away, and the actual solution itself looks a lot more dense, which means it's pretty much ready to start shining the pennies and take them out. So you want to take your fork again and mix them up again to get that final little residue off. And when you actually see the pennies go around, some of them will be cleaner than others due to the different metal compounds that they have. So you mix it again, the bubbles will start coming again, and then it's time to move to the toothbrush. I recommend using a new toothbrush and not your toothbrush. So you'll take out the pennies, and then you'll basically start scrubbing them with the toothbrush using your solution as I guess what you could call toothpaste. This is the most time-consuming part, but it's also the part that makes these pennies shiny. Alright, so once you get to your last penny, just go ahead and clean that one off. And then we need to get off the excess residue on your new pennies. Alright guys, so now in that little bucket that your solution was in is now filled with water. I also redid the paper towel just because that one's kind of dirty. So now take your pennies that have been already shined and just drop them in the water. You'll notice that they might have a little grit to them because they still have some of that residue from the solution on it. Go ahead and take your fork and just mix those around a little bit. Then you can take out the pennies and then put them on your paper towel. I guess I'll just use my hands, it's a little bit simpler. So now you have a lot more shine to your pennies.